Welcome to Dubber. This is a quick demonstration of some of the features and functions of the Dubber application. I'm going to log into Dubber as an account administrator. I'm a user that has full control over my account. When I first log into the application, I'm presented with all the recordings in my account in chronological order, starting with the most recent at the top. We have a simple media player. We can click the play button against any recording and start to play that recording. I can then skip through the recording just by jumping through the waveform to a certain point in time, or I can use these quick controls for skipping forwards and backwards and even changing the playback speed. With the recordings we capture quite a bit of metadata, so we capture who the user was, we capture the to and the from numbers, the duration of the call and the time and the date. We can also pull some additional metadata in from the recording source, such as call IDs, so we might be able to trace a call from cradle to grave as it passes between multiple people. As an account administrator, I've got permissions to do anything in the system, so here I can delete recordings and I can download recordings. I can multi-select some recordings and then choose to do the same sort of actions. I can delete and download recordings on bulk. Here you can see some tags or annotations that have been added to these recordings. Tags are basically free text that you can add that let you add some content about a recording and let you search for it in the future. The other feature down this bottom icon here is the legal hold. So we have the ability to legally hold recordings so they cannot be deleted. So if you have a compliance user that has to hold calls for litigious purposes, we can lock the file so it can't be deleted. You'll see here these calls have been legally held. The actual delete icon no longer exists for this user. So this recording will stay there permanently. It'll ignore retention plans, and even if you delete the user, this recording will be held there. A very, very useful compliance feature. We can quickly search for recordings based on any of the metadata. So if I want to look for Emma's calls, it's simple Boolean searching. I'll type in Emma and I find all of Emma's calls. I can also filter the same way, so I can filter for a specific user. Or if I've starred calls, I can quickly find all the calls that I've added a star against. With the search, we can actually drill down and actually get more data, so we can search for a certain type of recording, a certain user. If we created teams for a hierarchy within the business, I can search by a specific team. I can also do obvious time and dates. And the query string lets me build complex queries with and or to be able to really target the recordings that you want to look for. You'll see these recordings, many of these have also got these little faces next to them. So this is a neutral face. This is part of Dubber AI, our sentiment analysis. This call has been transcribed and then we've pushed it through a sentiment engine to work out whether it's a positive or negative call. So here as we look down, we've actually got the transcript of the call. And what we've done is we've done sentiment analysis against all the conversation. So you can quickly see that this call starts off pretty negative, all these red sections here. I've been waiting a really long time, I'm really unhappy, it's not good enough. And if I scroll down, the conversation slowly starts to pick up, and at the end, we've got lots of positive statements. Thanks a lot. Okay, that's great. Once we've actually captured the recordings and we've actually added that metadata to them, Dubber AI lets you do some very, very powerful things. One of the best tools we have is what's called notification engine. If I go into my account, to my AI tab, into notifications, here what I'm able to do is I'm able to build notifications that tell me when something's happened on a call. If we think about this from a compliance perspective again, perhaps we have a financial advisor that's saying you should buy something, which is a compliance no-no. What I can do is whenever someone says should buy and a call takes place, I can either send an email, either straight away, or a summary of emails, a summary email that shows you all the recordings from the previous day that hit this specific criteria. It's a very, very powerful tool because it lets you actually do all sorts of things at the user level. So I can see if I want to look for a specific issue that Tom might have had, I can basically target an individual user and look for behaviors of that user. At the same time, I can actually use other participants' phone numbers. So I could load here a list of all my premium customers, all their phone numbers. And perhaps whenever one of my premium customers calls and there's a negative phone call and perhaps there's some anger on the call, I can be told about it straight away. It's a very, very powerful way of looking for a business use case and working out what the problem is and what you can find out from the actual voice recording and actually trigger a notification. As well as sending emails of when these calls take place so you can listen to the call, we can also trigger API REST hooks. So if you're tied into a CRM system, we can flag this to a CRM, so perhaps someone's talking about cancelling an account. If we have cancel account in our keywords, a specific type of user and perhaps some negative sentiment, send this call immediately across to our CRM's retention queue, so a retention team can then get in touch with the customer and resolve the issues. What we can also do with the Dubber AI data is we can actually export it. We can pull out the data from Dubber and then present it into an existing BI tool, whether it be a Power BI or a Tableau or SAS or some tool that the customer already uses. The joy of Dubber is we actually let the data be taken from Dubber and merge with other business data. Traditionally in the call recording space, the voice data has always been siloed separate to the actual business data for social, chat, email and CRM. But Dubber lets you actually pull the data from the platform and merge it directly into your existing BI tools. This is a quick example of what one of the banks in the US have done with our data. They've basically taken all the calls data, they've mapped the actual volume of calls that have taken place across a specific team, and you can see here the actual progression of calls and what the sentiment is of each day. Here we can see there was a spike one day on specific call volumes and also a big spike in negative sentiment. Based on the queue, we know the calls were about credit card, checking, other and home loans. But if we actually drill down into this negative sentiment, we can quickly see that all of a sudden, this specific day, there was a large amount of negative sentiment about another product. And it turns out the bank had an internet banking outage that day. Customers are calling because they couldn't access their accounts. So pulling the data from Dubber and using a standard off-the-shelf tool to visualize it gives very, very powerful insights into your business from very simple data that we've captured and collected within the Dubber AI product. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, a fully productized API. This API lets you interact with your content. So we can actually go in and start actually doing API calls to start testing and build applications to tie the Dubber data directly into existing business tools. One of the integrations we have pre-built is an integration directly with Salesforce. So with the Salesforce connector, whenever calls are getting created within Dubber, we send all the metadata across into Salesforce against a specific customer. So as we look here into the Dubber account, there have been these calls against this specific account. We get the call detail records, we can see the actual sentiment, and at the same time we can actually link straight to the transcript and read the transcript directly within Salesforce. So if a customer is a full-time Salesforce user, rather than have to log into Dubber to find the recorded content, the content's displayed directly within the Salesforce application. That rounds up the really high-level view of the Dubber application. Any questions, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help with anything. Thanks so much.